Hello, race fans. Danny Padilla here, and you are chilling with the villain. Well, for me, I'm chilling with the Holmes racing family. I've got Carly Holmes next to me and her brother Tanner, and they've came all the way from Oregon to run their very first Chili Bowl. Well, Tanner, that is. But I've got Kylie here because she also races a sprint car, and during the beginning of the season, she got into a very hairy crash. It was unbelievable. I don't think that the camera did it any justice at all. She was leading the race. She was on the high side trying to pass a lap car, got over the front, right front, I believe, and went end over end out of the track into a creek, landed in trees. It was graphic and it was intense, and she ended up with a broken back. Is that correct?
Yes, I fractured my T3 and T4, and then I had bruised lungs.
Bruised lungs to boot. So anyway, she's been out of the car all season long. She's looking for a recovery. So how's it like being out of the car and you're sitting there, you're used to racing, you're used to being around racing all the time, and to be sidelined, how's that feel?
Yeah, it's tough, It's really heartbreaking, but at the end of the day, I love being around race cars, and I'll do anything to heal or take the time to heal. And if that means I get to sit on the side and help Tanner work on his sprint car or do the little things, that's all that matters.
Right on. I've always seen you support your brother throughout the vlogs that I've been watching. I've been watching for about 2 years. So when will we see you back in a car again?
Hopefully soon. We're hoping by April or May.
Okay, will you be in a 305 or a 360 sprint?
360 and hoping to make my debut in a 410.
Oh, wow, you're already moving up to 410. So is that going to happen next year?
Yeah, hopefully maybe practice a little bit over the summer and then make my first race.
All right, on to you, Tanner. So like I said, I've been watching you. I've seen you in your kart. I've seen you in your sprint car. Which one of those cars do you think prepare you best for today's race here in Tulsa?
I would say the Outlaw Kart stuff has been really big. The first time I hopped in a midget, I was like, man, this feels just like an Outlaw Kart. Like, especially if you've ever ran one without a wing. I mean, I would say almost to the T, they're pretty close. The wing stuff, having the wing on top, it just drives much different. You're driving more winged over on the left rear, where these create a lot more right rear grip. Obviously, without a wing, you're kind of leaning on that right side. So, they don't really compare that much. But at the end of the day, a race car is a race car. But having my Outlaw Kart experience has been very valuable, and then also, running with Chad Boat and these guys has really sped up my learning curve. So very thankful to be in a good hot rod, and that's half the battle. It's just having good equipment, a good setup that can get around the Tulsa Expo Center.
Awesome. So I've seen you. I'm assuming you started in karts when you were a child. Can you give us kind of a rundown of your entire career up to this point?
Yeah, I started when I was 5 years old, 6 years old, 2008, 2009 roughly, and just started doing the kart stuff locally, Southern Oregon, kind of ventured into Northern California, that kind of thing. And, it was kind of all by accident. My dad ended up just buying a car from one of his clients he was doing business with because his friend convinced him that it was a good idea. And from there, all of a sudden, it was in our blood, you could say. That's kind of the saying. And once you get hooked, you're hooked. So every year we probably started running more races, traveling, and then all of a sudden we started, winning, and then once you start winning, you're even more addicted than before. So it's a bad deal how that goes, but it's really awesome that we got involved. And from there we moved up into sprint cars about 2017, and just kind of more locally, but we eventually took the step into 360s and then 410s in 2021, and so far everything's been kind of just an awesome journey for us. Very thankful to have made it as far as we have, and just been blessed in so many different ways. But just would like to continue building our family team, as it's been cool to all kind of run together, and I think it's provided us with a lot of skills and knowledge that I'm going to take into whatever I continue racing in.
Do you find racing a lot more fun, being able to go wheel to wheel with your sister when she's out there racing?
I think it's easier to say that now. It's more competitive then. It really just depends, probably. I think no matter what, it could be the most local show you've ever ran in your life. You still want to win more than anything when you're up against people you want to beat. So I would say,
which is everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it just adds more meaning, because it's like, it's more the competitiveness in us. Carly and I would race each other up the stairs and push each other into the ground if that's just how it goes. We support each other more than anything, but at the same time, you want to beat that person more. But
you're going for that W.
Yeah, you're just going for it. So it's fun though, and honestly, I think I've learned as I got older, how to race each other hard, but race each other with a lot more room and respect, and anyone in general, whether that's a teammate, whether that's a sibling, whether that's a friend, or you kind of. But at the same time, you're not friends on track. You know what I mean? Like you know where that line's at. So in general, we try to just kind of keep it clean, and no matter who we're around, and know when to be aggressive and when not.
Okay, so I've been following this young man for 2 years, and I've seen him grow throughout. And I got to see him in his kart racing. I got to see him in his 305, his 360, and this year I got to see him in his 410. And now, what I forgot to mention at the beginning of this video, we are in Tulsa at the Chili Bowl, and this is his first appearance here, his first time in a midget outside of practice. So I know you ran yesterday, so take us through how it felt being in a midget, how it felt being on the track, and how you adapted and how it felt yesterday for you, because I know you had some ups and downs.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say. I feel like I maybe actually could have been more nervous than I was, but I got a good practice session in at Millbridge. We flew out to North Carolina, tested, which was really close to Chad's shop, and that was valuable. I think if I wouldn't have done that, I think this wouldn't have went so smoothly. But got to practice, came here, and it's pretty crazy walking in the building, but I probably wouldn't trade how our trip has went. It's been very boom, boom, boom. We started racing our Outlaw kart over in Shawnee on Thursday, ran there for 3 nights, and then came here and tested Sunday, and then ran Monday. And honestly, so much has been going on, I haven't really had time to think about anything. So most of my action now is done until Saturday. But basically, we ran Shawnee. We got done at like 1 a.m. Sunday morning. We won. And then we drove here. We're on like 3 hours of sleep. Showed up in the building to practice. Rolled in at like 9 a.m. Came straight to the trailer, got suited up, watched a couple sessions, got in the car, and just got rolling. Like I said, it's just been so go, go, go that now I feel like I'm finally looking back at everything and what just happened. And then yesterday, actually had good speed, won our heat race from the pole, went forward in our qualifier, started 8th in the feature, and unfortunately got upside down, but went to the back and passed 10 cars to get back to 13th. So kind of like decent. Wish it could have been way better. Obviously, I think we could have been a top 5 car if we don't get upside down, but you always wish things could go better than they did. So it's just part of the game, and I feel like for my first Chili Bowl, it's pretty solid.
Right on. So I did have a chance to watch the race, and I watched you in your heat race. Did you have full control of that car? Did you feel like you were still learning at that point? Because from my perspective, no disrespect, it seemed like you were still struggling with like a solid line. I mean, you did great. I mean, you won by over a lap. I mean, half a lap. So you got out there and you was able to stay up front. But were you still learning? Were you still struggling with the car? Did you have full control?
Yeah, I think I did. It was more, I think I was just kind of moving around a little bit, like trying to see, for me it was good to start up front because I got a chance to hop, it was like 8 more hot laps for me, and it was just putting my car in a different position every lap a little bit just to figure out like exactly, how these cars continue to drive and how to build the most speed. And I'm still, my main thing that I kind of was working on all night, and I got a little bit better, it's just driving a little too much like a wing car, just in the sense of being too straight. These things you really got to get sideways, you got to get set on the right rear, and it's easy to bring other habits from other cars into them. But for the most part, I was just more getting comfortable in those 8 laps, and I was probably a little bit tense because I was nervous. When you start first, you basically have to win your heat if you want to have a good weekend. So luckily we did that, and then in the qualifier I felt better racing around some other cars, and in the beginning of the feature I felt really good too before things kind of went south. So at the end of the day is what it is, and I felt like we gave ourselves a good shot, and we should be in a C feature come the weekend.
Okay, so you are no stranger to tight quarters. So even when you're out front, you're still confined, you're still restricted, and you're like inches away from somebody's tire, you're inches and just moments away from getting upside down. It is so crazy that a lot of people who don't race, they don't understand how that right rear, when you hit that cushion, if you hit it just too hard, it brings that front end right around to you, around the wall, and it kind of seemed like it did that to you. Right before you laid it on its side. You want to talk about that and about the field and the track conditions?
Yeah, mainly it was just a bad sequence of events. Like I missed the bottom in 1 and 2, trying to go underneath the car in front of me, and I kind of got hung in the slick, and I was just trying to roll the marbles to try to get some drive off to stay close and not lose momentum. And at the same time, the car behind me got a run and went to slide me, and it was just, I didn't catch it soon enough, and by the time I was trying to slow up and get on the brakes to not hit him, it just like got a 4-wheel slide kind of, and I was already kind of buried in the curb. So by the time I actually got really into the curb, I didn't have any wheel speed. So basically when that happens, you kind of just, like I said, you just flop right over. But like I said, just a bad sequence of events, and if you could go back and change it, you would in a heartbeat, but it's not that easy. So it's just how things happen. And now, like I said, just probably my lack of midget experiences, I just wasn't watching for that. I kind of almost saw it coming, it just came up quick.
Okay, so you've adapted. So you went from kart, you've been in a sprint car, now you're somewhere in between. How hard was it to you to adapt to this car? I mean, because this thing, I'm assuming miles per hour to the size and how far off the ground you are has got to be intense. So kind of take us through how you were able to adapt to it and some changes you had to make from your sprint car.
Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, don't get me wrong, the midgets are fast, and I'm sure at the larger tracks they feel quick, but when I kind of started driving the midget, my buddy was like, you're going to get in one and think like, man, is this really all this is? And that's kind of how I felt, actually. Like, they're not as fast as maybe they look or whatever, and if anything, it's easier to get out of control in them because, you don't want to be too on and off the gas. You got to find this middle point of keeping the car balanced. But yeah, it actually wasn't as fast as I thought it was going to be. Like, the wing stuff feels like you get hauling really good, but this was a good in-between, and if anything, similar to the kart, because it's just so much is happening in such a short amount of time, and it's just so close because you're on a tiny racetrack. But they're fun, and I definitely want to run them more.
Right on. So you were sawing the wheel in these cars, regardless of who you are. You are nonstop busy in these cars. So how'd that feel?
Yeah, you really have to just be on it. And, the main thing is you're driving the car all with the gas, so that's what's different, too. In a wing car, you can use a lot of brake to help rotate, or if you're tight, where in this, that actually gets you more in trouble, and that's almost like what happened to me last night. I think I just grabbed a little bit of brake at a bad time, and it's almost like when you get tight, you instinctively do that, and it makes it worse. So it's, it's just, they're just crazy machines, and I think, like I said, my lack of experience has made it more difficult, but I just would definitely like to run more laps and get going again.
That's what a lot of people out there don't understand when you're racing these cars. It doesn't take much to make a mistake and go back 2 or 3 car lengths, and that's kind of what happened to you. You made a minor mistake that cost you a lot. So we're going to see you tomorrow night, and you're going to be in a C-main. You have no idea where you're starting yet?
No, they haven't posted lineups yet, but yeah, we'll be in a C-main event, so they're going to have opening ceremonies, and then they'll roll into the C's, B's, and A's. So if we can make up maybe some ground, we can try to get in a B, and you just never know. You take it one race at a time. That's kind of what we did last night, and I felt like it worked for us. So right now we're kind of focused on the C. We can get through that, then give ourselves a shot.
Right on. So just a couple more questions. So it's the first time at the Chili Bowl ever? I mean, I know it's the first time you've raced, but you've never been here. You didn't
never been here before.
So I got to ask, what do you think of the atmosphere here? I mean, is this like one of the biggest races you've ever been to in your life? Or?
Probably, yeah. I've been to Knoxville Nationals before, not 410, but I've been to Knoxville, so I kind of saw like a little bit. But this for sure is just incredible. The atmosphere. Like, I always believe people when they said that, but I mean, actually seeing it firsthand, your eyeballs are like that big now. So it's really cool to see, and just everything, like rolling down the ramp is nuts, for your heat race, for your qualifier, and then for the A. Just like you can feel the electricity in the building, and it's pretty dang cool. We're not even all the way through the week, and I already know I want to be back next year.
That's right. So I ran the shootout 3 years ago in 2019, and I tell you what, going down that ramp, that's when it really kicks in that you're about to get after it, and the butterflies hit. And you're just kind of nervous, but then once you get that car started and you're rolling, it just kind of all smooths out, and it's game time. It's game on, and you got to focus and get it done. Yeah,
it's basically, it feels like another race. I feel like after I got through my heat yesterday, I was way more relaxed. The heat, I was nervous because you just knew you had to win. But once you get through the qualifier and you just start racing, it's like another race, and you just have to do what you have to do. And once it was the A main time, actually, you feel the least nervous. You're actually relaxed. You're like, all right, now it's time to just go put on a show. So it's really cool how the instincts kick in and you kind of just go for it.
Okay, so I've got one more question for you. How did somebody from Oregon who drives 360 sprint cars and 410 sprint cars end up at the Chili Bowl? How did all this take place for you?
Yeah, mainly it was just like, when I wanted to run the Chili Bowl, first off, you got to start asking around and see what seats are available, how can you get in a car. There's obviously a lot of top-notch teams here, and mainly at the same time too, I was trying to gather help. Like on the side of my car, you see Tim Vanderstoel Trucking, Mockridge Engineering. They were two big people that basically got me to this race, and I reached out to Chad and I was like, hey, I think we should put together a deal if you have an open seat, and got to talking, kind of got all the details, and from there we just put everything basically in place. Like I said, Tim Vanderstoel Trucking, Mockridge Engineering. There also see Jordan Mockridge Trucking on the side of my car, Dirt Tracker, Pit Stop USA. Those were my five main partners that partnered with me to make this event happen, and partnered with CB Industries to put together and field a car. So really cool that they did that, and like I said, there's a lot of teams here that have top-notch equipment, and you just, if they have an open seat, or you got to just kind of see and ask around and put something together.
So are you saying you weren't asked to drive, this is a rented vehicle?
Yeah, so this is a rental ride, basically. That's kind of how, a lot of cars are in this building. So, like, I wanted an opportunity, so I went to Chad and was like, hey, what's this going to take, to make happen? And, he was on board with it and was like, I definitely would want to do something. And so, yeah, I went to all my partners and we put something together.
That's right. So back in the day, Billy Boat, I used to watch him. I'm from Arizona, so I'm from Manzanita Speedway. That's where I grew up. That was my home track, and I got to watch his dad race quite a bit. So it's nice to see you with the boat family, because they are a class act themselves. So that's about all I have for you. So anybody want to and shout out to?
Yeah, mainly just all of our great fans. You know, it's cool that you guys, everyone's been supporting us for this trip. This has been really, really fun out here in Tulsa, and we're just kind of enjoying the rest of the week now. We were saying we're on vacation now until Saturday, so we're just going to keep taking in the building and taking in the experience and try to gather as many notes as we can to try to go forward come Saturday.
That's awesome. So congratulations for being here, first of all. I've watched you for, like I said, 2 years. It's so weird walking up to you. It's like I know you, and you're probably thinking, "Who's this guy?" So that's just kind of the breaks when you're a YouTube vlogger. So a lot of people know you guys, especially you, and and then I'm sure you get a ton of people just come up and talk to you like they know you.
Well, it's awesome. It's great. We love it. I mean, that's what we live for. You know, especially at an event like this, we would never even expect so much. So many interactions and stuff. It's really, really neat, all the people we've met, especially this is an area of the country we've rarely ever been, only one other time before. So it's great to see kind of our fans here in the Midwest and the southern part. And I'm looking forward to, like I said, the rest of the week and hopefully meet a lot more people.
Right on. So when I found out that you were coming, I was like, yes, finally, because I've been watching you, and you guys are a class act. You never really blow up. You don't get excited. You don't really cuss people. I mean, you are one of the very few that realize racing is racing. Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug. One time you're going to get into somebody, the next time somebody's getting into you. So you got to take those hit and misses. And I think after watching you for 2 years that you do that really well. So congratulations to you for being such a class act.
Appreciate it. No, thank you guys for taking the time to interview us today, and hopefully you guys can enjoy Chili Bowl all week, you know.
Okay, one final question. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What is your goal in the racing industry? You want to race just outlaw sprint cars? Are you looking for a NASCAR ride? What is your goal for you?
I think, and even to speak for Carly, you know, the whole NASCAR dream is always cool, but it takes so much funding and whatnot to get there. You know, you got to have a lot of good sponsorship and partners and people that are willing to ride the wave, not only now, but all the way. It takes a lot, and people have to be willing to invest for a long period of time. So for me, like, kind of always never just thought I was going to get there. You never really know, but for the most part, just want to keep dirt racing if I can. It'd be really cool. If I'm around in 10 years, that'd be great. And winning races. And I think, it takes a long time to get to that top level. So I'm willing to invest in that and, stick around. Nothing comes quick and nothing comes easy. So this is a tough sport, and it's, it's more of a long game, I think, than people realize. So for me, opportunities like this, putting together deals, working my butt off, trying to, put myself in a position to be successful, whether that's in a wing sprint car, in a midget, an outlaw car, whatever it may be. But I'm just trying to run a bunch of races and, try to do this for a living. So that's kind of my goal, and keep building my own sprint car team at home. And that's really key, I think, too, because it is awesome if you can drive for your family or drive for yourself. That's a great opportunity because your seat's never loose, and you can really go out there and make the most of it.
Right on. So, Carly, where do you see yourself in 10 years? There's a lot of women here, and they're getting it done, and they're competitive. So it's not like they are just taking up space. They are really fierce competitors. So where do you see yourself? What do you want to do 10 years from now?
Just like Tanner said, just keep, living the dirt life and keep racing dirt. And I think making it to NASCAR right now would just be way too hard, just because you have to have a lot of asphalt experience. And I've never driven on asphalt. I've never raced on asphalt. So I think we're just going to stay with the dirt racing, and taking the year off out of racing really it really sucked, just because, that's 1 year out that I cannot progress, but it will come back harder and come back fast, and hopefully get to hit the track soon.
All right. So if people want to follow you, where are they going to do that at?
You can go to youtube.com/Tanner Holmes or Carly Holmes. That's kind of where we post a lot of our content, as well as just like our Facebook page, Tanner Holmes Racing, Carly Holmes Racing. We post a lot of content on there. And literally, if you just type in the internet, type one of our names in, you can find all sorts of stuff. We basically, it's my job, and we do it 24/7. So that's kind of the life we live here, and we do it at a bunch of dirt tracks across the United States. So it's pretty damn cool.
All right, everybody. I'm Danny Padilla. This is Tanner Holmes, his sister Kylie Holmes, racing 360 and 410 sprint cars out of Southern Oregon, correct? And you can find them, Tanner Holmes, Holmes. Is that correct? Look him up. He's a class act. He's a cool guy. I enjoy watching him. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for chilling with the villain. We'll see you next time.